Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dielle Charon and I am a sales coach for aspiring and scaling women of color coaches. And I cannot wait to talk to you about how to properly run a coaching session. So I get it. This person done paid you, you sold, you're posting your content and you actually have a client. Yay! And now it's like, crap, what do I actually say to them? So in this video, I'm gonna break down everything you need so that you know exactly what to say to them and you know how to get them results on each coaching call. So the first thing you're gonna do is start the call. You're gonna open it and you're gonna greet the client with a smile. You have to remember that this client has had their whole day spent outside of you and you wanna be able to provide a friendly, open space to the client. Don't go kind of with your hair all brushed up and you a little disgruntled and disheveled and don't show up late and don't seem like you had other things other than being right there for your client. So you want to make sure you show up, you're on time, you're a fresh welcome space. Hello, how are you today? And your client's gonna go, it's so good to see you. And you want your clients to feel relieved when they see you. And so just open up the Zoom call and just be so excited that your client is there. The first thing that you're gonna do with this client, once they've actually come into your space and say it's your very first session with them, you've never done a coaching call with them before, it's their very first session. The first thing that you're gonna do for your entire coaching relationship is set goals with them. You're gonna be very, very clear, okay, at the end of the 3 months, at the end of the 6 months that we're working together, you wanna be able to achieve blank, right? You want to be very, very clear with what this client wants out of their investment. You wanna know that up front. So every time you all get sidetracked or you all get distracted, you can go exactly to, wait, okay, I love talking about this conversation. I love talking about this topic. I wanna make sure that we actually are hitting our goal of blank. So in the very first coaching session with this new client, you wanna make sure you have goals in place. You could choose 1 goal, 3 goals, no more than 5 goals, but you wanna make sure that you know exactly what this client wants. And to be honest with you, this is just a little CYA as well. I'm always thinking about this person paid me to help them. I wanna know exactly what they want out of this. Because y'all can have some amazing conversations, but it may not be exactly what the client wants. So the client will be like, I want a boyfriend by the time the 3 months are over, not I want to casually date and go out on some fun dates. Those are 2 very different goals and you're gonna help the client take very different actions depending on those goals. So it's so important to know by the end of the 3 months, by the end of the 6 months, know exactly what the client wants. The second thing is you wanna be able to then, for each session that you have with the client, set individual goals for each set of the coaching calls you have. So that's the overarching goal, and then what are you going to figure out today? That's what you have to figure out. So every time I start my coaching calls, I say hi to the client, I greet them, we chit chat a little bit, and then I ask them, okay, what's the goal for today? What do you want to accomplish today? We have your big overarching goal. Where are we at? What do we want to get started with today? And then you spend your whole coaching topic on one thing. It could be really, really tempting to like go through this big list of 5, 6, 7, 10 things that you want to do, but it's so important to focus on your entire coaching session on one thing. Let's continue this dating analogy. If you're helping this person get a boyfriend, the first session that you might do, that's the overall coaching package, the first session that you might have is you want to get clear on what are the non-negotiables for this person. What were their past relationships? What did they like? What did they dislike? What do they want on their dream person list? And you want to make sure that they feel really good with that list. So that is the goal for that session. So you want all of your individual sessions to have goals so that the client can walk away and say, oh my God, that time spent was worth it. Check. They can do a big check off for their actual session with you. Feeling like, oh my gosh, that's good. You also want to make sure you go deep on one topic so it doesn't pop up in all these different ways down the line, right? You want to be able to get deep in one topic with the client so it doesn't keep popping up so that you all can move on to other things throughout the rest of the coaching relationship. And so the first step was to choose an overall package. The second step was to get very, very clear on each session, what are they doing? The third thing you want to do is you want to make sure you know what exact problems are your clients facing. Don't then set a goal and then immediately start teaching. Don't break out the whiteboard. Don't break out PowerPoint and immediately start teaching them. You want to figure out, okay, what is your problem with this goal? Why have you not been able to achieve this goal? You want to get very, very clear on, okay, where's your understanding with where you're at with this goal? You want to understand where the client is before you start teaching them and showing things. So you might ask several questions on, what are you struggling with this goal? Where are you at with it? What have you tried and it hasn't worked? Where have you been intimidated by this? Where have you been stuck? What are your questions about this? You want to understand where the client is first before you start teaching and giving them strategies and advice. So once you figure out the goal of the session and once you figure out the problems they have, you want to be able to understand those problems fully before you start giving advice, strategies, and coaching tools. Once you do that, then you can give advice, strategy, and coaching tools. Then you can dive in to all the things that you want to teach your client. Now, I don't recommend spending the whole 60 minutes or the whole 30 minutes of your call actually going into teaching where you're showing them a whiteboard or a PowerPoint. I want it to be more Q&A based, where a client asks a question or a client says something and then you respond. And then they say something again and then you respond again. And that's how I want the flow of the call to be. When you do it this way, it's incredibly personal. It's so personal to what the person is going through, their struggles, and it's custom based. You want to make sure that you're addressing each and every question that this person has. Now, the client might push back on you. They may say, oh, I don't understand that, or I don't think that's possible, or I don't think I can do that. That is okay. That is okay. You can dive into, why don't you think that's possible? Why don't you think you can try this? Why don't you think you have time? With their answers, it'll provide you with more insight to continue coaching them and continue solving their problem. So allow for that natural Q&A, allow for that natural back and forth, allow for that natural rebuttal that clients have in order to get to the root of their issue. So once you go back and forth and once you're able to solve the client and the client is able to have more clarity on their problem, then you will wrap up the session. You'll give a little recap of everything you talked about and all the solutions that you've been able to offer the client. From there, you will then give them a little homework. Now, this isn't do 25 exercises. This is, how can we apply this outside of our sessions? How can we take a little bit of risk? How can we try new things? And you might give homework to your client and it's just one action. It's just 2 actions. They can be very, very small, but you do want the client leaving with something to try in their life based off of the coaching that they receive. People think that the result happens on the coaching call, but the result happens outside of the coaching call. The result happens beyond the coaching call. It happens when the client is using it in real life. So we want to make sure that we're giving the client some direction and a little bit of homework after the call. All right, this is everything you need to do a coaching session from start to finish. And every single week or every other week, however many times your calls are, you will start over again. I hope this video was helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.